It was a cold, silent morning in the interior of the United States. The sun was still struggling to break through the dense fog covering the horizon when a desperate call echoed through the small rural community. A horse was stuck, slowly sinking into a treacherous quagmire. Spirit, as he was known by locals, was more than just an animal. He was a symbol of strength and freedom in that region. But at that moment, his life was hanging in the balance. Early reports described a harrowing scene. Spirit struggled to keep his head up as his legs were trapped in a thick mixture of mud and water. With each attempt to escape, he sank a little deeper, while the helpless residents tried to find a quick solution. With time running out and the danger growing, the tension increased. The desperation in the horse's eyes was visible, and the community knew they needed to act before it was too late. This is the story of a rescue that defied the odds, united hearts, and showed the world the true meaning of courage and compassion. Get ready to follow every second of this dramatic and inspiring operation. The scene was desolate. The rural area where Spirit was trapped was surrounded by open fields and treacherous swamps. Recent rains had turned the ground into a death trap, creating a mixture of thick mud and stagnant water. This swampy terrain, known for swallowing anything that dared to step on it, seemed like an implacable enemy at that moment. Spirit, a majestic horse with a shiny brown coat, was covered in mud up to his flanks. His eyes conveyed fear and exhaustion as he fought against the force pulling him down. The mud not only made movement difficult, but also posed an invisible threat, the possibility of suffocation at any moment. Each attempt to leave was met with more resistance, as if the swamp was unwilling to let him go. The isolated position of the area made rescue even more difficult. Being far from the city meant that help wouldn't arrive quickly enough. The residents who found the horse tried to use branches and improvised ropes to prevent it from sinking further, but the weight of the animal and the depth of the mud made everything useless. The scene was harrowing, a symbol of strength and beauty fighting desperately against an invisible and implacable enemy. As time passed, hopes diminished. It was necessary to think quickly. Every minute counted, and Spirit's chances of surviving became smaller. The next step would be crucial in determining whether that horse would survive or whether the quagmire would claim yet another life. The clock continued to tick as the first residents tried, unsuccessfully, to remove Spirit from the mud. The sound of the horse neighing echoed across the field, a cry for help that broke the hearts of everyone who witnessed the scene. It was then that a local farmer, realizing the gravity of the situation, picked up his phone and made a desperate call to the emergency services. Each word carried the urgency of the moment. A horse was sinking and needed immediate rescue. While waiting for rescuers to arrive, residents did not sit still. Men and women joined forces, bringing shovels, ropes, and wooden planks, trying to create a solid base around Spirit. However, every effort seemed futile. The mud continued to give way, pulling the horse deeper. Some residents entered the freezing water, trying to calm Spirit, but the animal was scared and continued to struggle, spreading more mud and worsening the situation. The desperation was evident. A woman cried as she watched Spirit struggle to breathe, while a man shouted instructions, trying to coordinate his efforts. But even with the community's bravery and team spirit, they knew that human strength would not be enough to overcome the treacherous quagmire. When the sounds of sirens finally echoed across the landscape, a collective sigh of relief took over those present. Rescue teams, equipped with heavy tools and reinforced ropes, arrived at the scene. But time was already against them. Spirit was already sunk up to his chest, and his breathing was becoming increasingly difficult. Hope now depended on the skill and experience of rescuers. The time to act had arrived, and everyone was about to witness a battle against nature in its most merciless form. When the rescue team finally arrived at the scene they found was chaotic and emotionally charged. Spirit was visibly exhausted. His muscles were shaking and his breathing was heavy. The mud surrounded him like a living trap, and every movement of the animal only made him sink further. Time was an implacable enemy, and the margin for error was minimal. Rescuers acted quickly, assessing the situation and establishing an action plan. Equipped with strong ropes, safety straps, and even a portable crane brought in on a truck, they began to devise a strategy to free the horse. The operation leader, an experienced firefighter, gathered his team and assigned specific roles to each member. It was a race against the clock and against nature. While one group worked to stabilize Spirit, placing straps around her body to prevent further sinking, another group began creating anchor points in the ground around the mud flat. The tension was palpable. Each movement had to be calculated, as one wrong pull could seriously injure the animal or make it panic. Residents, who had not left the horse's side since the beginning, continued to support the efforts, bringing tools and helping to keep the team's spirits up. Some people prayed out loud, while others offered words of encouragement to Spirit, who, despite his fatigue, was still struggling to stay upright. As the operation progressed, challenges continued to arise. The slippery mud made moving difficult, and Spirit's weight made the process slower than desired. But the rescuers didn't give up. Each effort was one more step towards hope. The plan was underway, but the danger was still real. One wrong decision could ruin everything. While the ropes were adjusted and the equipment prepared, silence took over the place. Everyone knew that the critical moment was about to happen. The silence was interrupted by the sound of strings being stretched. The rescue team's every move was meticulously calculated. Spirit remained motionless, as if he knew that any agitation could make his situation worse. The mud seemed to come to life, slowly sucking the horse inside, making every second even more harrowing for the rescuers and residents who watched with their hearts in their hands. The team began to carefully pull the ropes, trying to lift Spirit inch by inch. The first effort caused a slight displacement, but it also made the horse shake. Spirit began to neigh and struggle, spreading mud and making it difficult to fix the straps. Panic threatened to take over the operation, but rescuers remained focused. With calm words, they tried to calm the animal while reinforcing the anchor points. The team leader ordered a brake to adjust the ropes and ensure the weight was distributed evenly. The crane began to move slowly, applying constant pressure. Little by little, Spirit's body began to emerge from the mud. The effort was visible. The horse's muscles trembled, and the mud flowed as if it was struggling to keep him restrained. Suddenly, a snap. One of the ropes gave way under the extreme tension, causing the horse to fall a few inches back into the mud. The impact caused spectators to hold their breath. Spirit's eyes widened, and the desperation on the rescuers' faces was evident. But there was no time to hesitate. They quickly reinforced the moorings and resumed the operation. The horse was lifted again, now more firmly and stable. Every inch was a victory, but the mud continued to resist. Finally, when Spirit's front paws fully emerged, a collective gasp echoed throughout the room. The worst was not over yet, but that small progress rekindled hope and gave us the strength to continue. With his body partially freed from the mud, Spirit still struggled to maintain his balance. The rescuers knew that this moment was decisive. One slip could make everything fall apart. The ropes were adjusted once again, and the team redoubled their efforts to stabilize him. Each movement had to be executed with surgical precision. Then something unexpected happened. The weight of the horse, combined with the suction of the mud, caused him to lean dangerously to one side. For a brief moment, it looked like Spirit would be swallowed back into the swamp. But, in an act of pure instinct and courage, one of the firefighters threw himself into the mud, grabbing the horse's reins and holding on tight. This desperate gesture gave the team the time needed to adjust the ropes and prevent Spirit from sinking again. The operation was resumed with even more caution. The crane began to slowly lift Spirit, pulling him out of the mud inch by inch. The horse's eyes, once filled with fear, now showed signs of hope. Residents shouted words of encouragement, and rescuers moved like a perfectly synchronized gear. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, Spirit's entire body emerged from the mud. Covered in dirt and shaking with exhaustion, he remained standing, as if he knew he had won a battle against death. The applause and tears that followed echoed across the field, marking the end of a rescue that seemed impossible. But the work was not finished yet. Spirit needed immediate medical attention to ensure there were no complications. He was quickly wrapped in blankets and taken to a veterinary clinic. The rescue was complete, but the emotions of that moment would remain forever etched in the memories of everyone who witnessed the fight for survival. News of Spirit's dramatic rescue spread like wildfire across social media. Within hours, videos recorded by residents and moving photos of the horse being pulled from the mud began to circulate, reaching millions of views. That community's act of courage and unity touched hearts around the world, rekindling faith in humanity in difficult times. Local newspapers and television channels covered the event, highlighting the collective strength needed to save a life in danger. Interviews with rescuers revealed the pressure and fear they faced during the operation, while residents shared their own stories of despair and hope. Spirit quickly became a symbol of resilience, inspiring people of different cultures and languages. Messages of support and gratitude flooded social media, while animal rights organizations used the story to promote awareness campaigns about the dangers of swampy areas for animals. Spirit wasn't just a rescue horse. He had transformed into a living symbol of perseverance and collective care. The world watched, moved, the end of this incredible journey, proving that, when there is unity and determination, even the most difficult challenges can be overcome. Spirit's rescue wasn't just a story of survival. It was living proof of how courage, unity, and compassion can move mountains, or in this case, deadly quagmires. Every person involved, from local residents to firefighters and volunteers, showed that when we act together, we can overcome even the most overwhelming challenges. Spirit, now safe and recovering, became a symbol of hope. His gaze, once marked by fear, now conveys tranquility and gratitude. And this transformation isn't just physical. It's a powerful reminder that life is always worth protecting and cherishing. May this story inspire you to never give up, even when everything seems lost. Just like Spirit, we all face our own quagmires in life. But with determination, support, and faith, it is possible to find a way out. Share this video to spread this message of courage and solidarity. Because at the end of the day, every act of kindness, no matter the size, can be the difference between sinking and being rescued. Together we can continue saving lives and transforming stories.